Hi,
Hello.
welcome to episode 3 of You Have My Attention. I'm here with Ale again.
Hello.
Oh, you have this really interesting fashion thing going on. What's the vibe you're going for today?
Today I am feeling like a Bratz doll.
I can see that.
A little bit. Well, so originally my inspiration for this outfit was like in the movie The Devil Wears Prada, where the main girl, Anne Hathaway, her character gets like a makeover or whatever, and you see like a montage of all her different outfits, and in one of them she's wearing like this little hat, and I'm like, I want to be her in that hat. So I'm wearing like a little hat with like this big crochet, well, the sleeves are big. Big
It's like
sleeves.
it's like a crochet sweater, but it's not a full sweater. It's kind of cropped.
It's like cropped to where it's barely even like a shirt. It's
Yeah.
literally just like sleeves.
It's like a little, what would you call it? Like a, I don't know. What's it?
It's like a little layering piece.
Yeah, it's like a layering piece, and the crochet, it's white
It's a white, like big. What do you call this?
net. It kind of has this like net design.
When I wore it in front of my boyfriend, he said I look like a spider web.
Yeah,
So
that's what I would describe. That's a really good. It's like somewhere around between spiderweb and fishing net.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the hat you're wearing, it's like also, well, it's a knitted hat. It's not crochet. I can tell by.
But it's
the way
like
it looks.
it's giving beret.
Yeah, but also like a light color, like white cream. It's like that hat that girl wears in the jewelry store at that movie.
Oh yeah, I said this earlier.
Bridesmaids.
So the movie Bridesmaids, there's this scene where the main character works at this jewelry store and she like hates her life, right? And in the scene, this like little 13-year-old girl, I think she's 13, or she's supposed to be a teenager or whatever, and she goes in there to get her friend a friendship bracelet, and she's wearing like the same kind of hat. So if you want to look up Bridesmaids jewelry store scene, that's what I look like right now. Well, just the hat, but
your earrings are like dangly spider earrings. So it's this whole
because
spider vibe.
Because of the spider web. So
Yeah.
what's new with you?
So, not a lot.
No.
I don't really have much to share other than I'm like continuing my decluttering saga here at home. Other than that,
I used to not think that I was like, because I'm like the messy one of the family. So I used to not think that I cared about that thing, that like, oh, clutter,
keeping things tidy and stuff like that.
Oh, I don't care, whatever. But then like I recently realized like I do care.
So you know what? This actually reminds me of this story in college. One time I was in the dining hall eating by myself. For no reason.
I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
I just happened to be by myself that day, and I was about to have lunch, and this one girl just starts talking to me straight up, just like, oh, hey, I don't want to she was clearly an extrovert. I thought
you were gonna say she was clearly on drugs.
No, like, she was clearly an extrovert, and she openly, like, right away admitted it to me, like, I can't eat by myself and my friends aren't here yet. And I was like, okay, sure, if you want to sit with me. I mean, that's fine, I guess. I didn't really have a problem with it on this particular day. So she starts talking to me, and she starts telling me about how she just general stuff, you talk about your major and like all that, general college topics. But then she tells me about how she's a shopping addict.
Oh.
And that she has so much clothes
relatable
in her dorm, and that it was just layers and layers of clothes. And it just, the imagery that she invoked with her story just stuck with me.
So I have a fear of being that way, because I don't say I'm a shopping addict because I can control myself. I'm not really that much of a spender anyways, but I love to thrift. So whenever I have time, or whenever I have like a little bit of money to spare, I will go spend my money on clothes. And that means I accumulate a lot of clothes for like every occasion, because I don't have an aesthetic. You know how most people like, they like to dress a certain kind of way. I like to dress style. Like every kind of way. So I need clothes for every kind of mood, every kind of aesthetic, every kind of outfit. So that's why I have so much clothes, because I just use it for different outfits. And then it's like, oh, this outfit means I'm feeling like a little emo goth girl, whatever. And then the next day I'm like, I want to be like a chic Paris Fashion Week kind of person. And then the next day I'm like, I want to look like a skater or something. So that's why I have so much clothes, and I'm scared that I'm gonna develop this like clutter collecting
that's
habit.
just gonna overrun your bedroom or your house or what have you. Like this girl that I'm telling you about who would do that.
Exactly.
And she told me that, I think, I'm not sure if it was her or if I heard this about someone else, how she rarely repeated outfits.
No,
like
I'm an outfit repeater.
No, she had so much clothes. And she worked at a clothing store too, so she had discounts.
Oh, that's a bad
yeah, she was telling me about it, and I didn't really know what to say. I was just saying, like, I just looked at her and like nodded my head, like, oh, okay, interesting.
I mean, what do you say to that? Like,
exactly,
you're a hoarder. Like,
no, I mean, I wasn't gonna shame her or anything.
Of course not.
It was just not a conversation I expected to be involved in.
Yeah, but I'm kind of scared to get that way. That's why every so often I try to get rid of my clothes.
Give it away.
Give it to you guys, like my sisters, or just donate it. Because I mean, I don't want to make it seem like I don't get the use out of my clothes. Like, I do. I will wear something to death, and then I'm like, I don't want to wear it anymore because I've worn it so many times. But I usually keep things for a while, and I kind of declutter at like once a year. I'm like, I should get rid of this. I haven't worn it in a long time. Blah, blah. But yeah, so I'm scared to have that much clutter, because whenever I do that thing where I like snake skin my clothes and it's a pile, right?
Yeah.
Then it kind of grows throughout the week, the pile, and I just feel like disgusting. I just feel gross because I'm like, ew. Like every time I walk into my room, if I see the pile, I'm like, oh, it just makes me like cringe at myself. Or if there's stuff on my like nightstands, there can be like a couple of things, like a candle, cute, or like, I don't know, a book or something. But if there's like things on top of things, it's just like, I hate it. It's just like, but I didn't think I used to. I never thought I cared that much until after a while. I was like, oh, I do.
Like recently.
Yeah, recently I was like, oh, I definitely care about like the clutter and being messy and stuff. I thought I didn't because I was a messy one, but I care. So
that's okay. That's okay to care, you know.
Yeah, it's fine. It's just like I don't want to put so much like effort and like make myself so uneasy for something like that seemingly small and dumb.
Yeah. Well, I really think a lot of it actually has to do with like your like mindset and mental health, I guess. Being in a place that's cluttered, and if it bothers you and you kind of feel overwhelmed or drained.
That's why people say like, oh yeah, this is my depression room, because like when you're not good mentally, like you just stop caring about that stuff. So like, when I'm having like a period of my life or a period of time where it's like I'm having more and more depressive episodes, and like my room looks like shit because I stopped caring.
Yeah, I really think they're very closely linked. It can explain a lot of why there are people that end up in hoarding situations with their houses. Have you seen, there's this YouTuber I watch, her name is I believe you pronounce it Aurikatariina.
We watch very different YouTubers.
I know.
Definitely not.
Okay, well, I don't know if I've told you about her, but she cleans houses for free.
Oh, I've
she gets
seen,
sponsored.
Well, I don't know if I've seen her specifically, but I've seen videos like that on TikTok.
She will clean a house. She like uses like the Scrub Mommy products, and she'll like show you her process, and it's really amazing the transformations that she and like has on these houses.
It's like satisfying to watch too. So
yeah, the houses will go from like piles and piles and piles of clutter, trash, all kinds of things, and to like a clean house, spick and span, organized.
She's doing the Lord's work.
She really is. I am so impressed by her work, and she's inspired so many people. It actually has led me to like feel more motivated to clean and declutter. Really, cleaning is not like regular cleaning, like dishes and stuff like that. It's not a big deal for me, but decluttering is more emotional. It really is more emotional. Like
that whole Marie Kondo, whenever that show came out, everybody was like on a clutter-free craze or whatever.
So if you just need some cleaning or decluttering, cleaning motivation in general, they're really good people to check out. So I know you wanted to talk about a little bit about voting. Was it about your experience or what?
Oh yeah. So, oh my gosh, I did have an experience. I usually prefer to do early voting just because the lines aren't as bad and it's just like better. But I didn't get around to it this year, so I was like, oh well, there's no other day to vote other than election day. That's your last day to go. Right. So I went to work that day and I was about to leave, and my friend / coworker, I was like, oh yeah, I'm about to go vote. Like, I'm trying to get out of work so that I can go vote because I don't want the traffic to be so bad. It was already kind of like traffic hours, like 4:00. Right. And she was like, oh, well, I have to go too. Like, let's just go together. And I was like, okay. So traffic's bad, whatever. I expected that. And then we go to one of the libraries that's nearby. I mean, it wasn't that close to our job, but it's close to like the area that we live in. So we went to the library and the line was out the door, like on the street. It was like really long, which is kind of what I expected because it's election day at like 4 p.m. So everyone's getting out of work, everyone's going. So I was kind of like, oh, like the line, but of course I'm still gonna do it. But then we were probably there for like 3 minutes, and then this lady that worked the polls or election, she worked for the little voting thing. I don't know what you call it, but she came outside and she was like, hey guys, just so you know, like as of where you're standing, the wait is 40 minutes. So you can stay here. We're not trying to run you out of here or anything, but there's a school across the street that's also doing voting, and there's not a line over there. So if y'all want to go over there instead. And me and my friend were like, yeah, we're going to go over there. I don't want to wait 40 minutes. Yeah. So the school's literally like less than 2 minutes down the street. So we were just like, let's just go there. And I think they let the students out like early that day or something because there was like no one in the parking lot. So I was like, oh, okay, even better. So we went and we were waiting, and this is the thing that got me. Wait, I'm trying not to cuss. This lady, she cut in front of us because we were waiting, obviously. So when we got there was a line, but it was like probably, I don't know, like 20 people or something. Nowhere near as bad as the line at the library. And they were letting people file inside, like in a single file line, go inside. But the lady that was working there, she was like, oh, okay, stop right here because I don't think there's any more room inside. Like, just wait a little bit and then you can go inside. And this freaking hag, she cuts in front of us and she's like, oh, my husband is in there, blah, blah, my husband, he's in there, so I have to go in front of you. And I was like, whatever. And guess what? Her husband wasn't even in there. And then so I didn't know she was lying. Yeah, of course. We're obviously going to take her for her word. Yeah. So she just did that just to cut the line. Yeah. That's very rude. Yeah, it is. So then whatever. So then we eventually get inside because the line is like kind of moving. So we get inside and she's in front of us. And I'm like, what does this lady gain from cutting us in line? Like, you literally just could have waited like 5 more minutes. Like, oh my gosh, 5 minutes. Oh, it's your precious time. Whatever. She's being annoying. And she's just kind of like, at first, okay, this is where I need to explain. So she said she was going inside to meet her husband. I don't know if that was really her husband, but she was talking to somebody in line. I don't know. So she might have actually been kind of telling the truth. But she could have just
waited 5 minutes.
Or I don't know why you had to cut the line. It's not like the line was so long where you can just, I don't know. People are stupid. Anyways, so when we get inside, she's sitting on a bench, like not even near the line.
Right.
So I was like, okay, maybe she just wanted to sit down. Maybe she's not really in here to vote. Maybe she's just, okay, maybe she is waiting on her husband, right? And maybe her husband's in the line and she already voted or something, so she just wants to sit down inside. That's what I thought, because the where she was sitting wasn't anywhere near the line. So we get to the line inside and we're waiting, and then she's sitting down and I see her, and so we're standing in line for a little while, and then she like stands up from the bench and then goes in front of us again. I was like, is she voting or is she not? Is she voting or is she sitting down? Is her husband really here? I don't know if I'll ever know, because
so many questions
because she's not, whatever. I don't know if she's lying. So, because she's giving me no reason to think that this is her husband in front of us, because she's not even talking to him. Whatever. She goes in front of us in the line again after sitting on the bench. And then she starts talking to the guy in front of us. So I was like, oh, maybe it is her husband. Maybe it's not. I don't know. She's maybe weird.
Her legs are having an issue and she has to sit down. I don't know. I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. But
I don't know. She was rude. She could have said it nicely. But anyways, so we end up going to vote. It's actually my friend's first time voting. So I'm kind of giving her the little rundown. I'm like, oh, so you just get your ID. They check you in, give you this like skinny little paper. And then you go to that little kiosk thing where you put in the paper and then you vote, and then you take it out, right? Like,
yeah.
I was just
the whole voting process.
I was just explaining to her the process because she had never done it. So then we end up leaving and we go back home. So the line in total, you know how the library was 40 minutes? From the time that we got into the line at the school to the time that we got out, it was actually 30 minutes.
Okay, so you did save yourself some time.
Yeah, not much.
Supposedly.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, we can't really know.
Maybe I would have saved 5 minutes if that lady didn't cut me in the line, but whatever. So that was my voting story.
And you got a little bit of walking in with your friend or whatever.
That's true, but I had already walked the amount of steps that I need to walk, because in my job I walk a lot.
Have you tried insoles?
No.
Would you maybe try them? Maybe they might help with the feet hurting.
What does that do?
From what I understand, they can help provide support.
Is it just like a cushion?
They can. Some of them are more for support. Some of them are more for cushion. I assume there's some for both. Just to make your shoes more comfortable. Some people have said it's been life-changing. I've never had insoles that have been that extreme, but I haven't really tried that many. I just heard that some people really like them and help them.
True.
Maybe that can make some of your, more fashionista shoes
a little
more comfortable to wear.
Probably. I mean, like I said, they're not uncomfortable, but if you're literally standing for 5 hours straight,
it makes a difference.
It's going to be uncomfortable.
I'm certain it could make a difference.
Yeah.
The other thing I don't know is, do you have to size up if you add insoles?
I don't have a single clue.
Me either. I think I did that one time with the insoles that I wore. We had to wear these shoes for marching band in high school that I did not like.
They were like
they were Converse. The reason I didn't like them was because they're uncomfortable.
I love those.
For me, I guess they're too flat and I don't like flat shoes.
Oh yeah. Well, I remember because we went to we are 6 years apart. So we never really went to school together except for in elementary school for like 1 year. So, but we did go to the same high school just during different times. But they always had those like cool Converse that were the school colors, and I was like, oh, those are so cool.
I mean, yeah, they did look cool, and we didn't wear them all the time. We only wore them for like football games, and not for competition, just for like
the
pep rallies.
You have to wear those like fancy,
like the standard marching shoes. I forget there's a word for them. Forget what they're called.
Shoes.
No, I know, but there's a specific name for marching shoes. It's bothering me. I have to check it up.
Little shiny black.
Yeah, they're like shiny black shoes. Dinkles.
Those
are the ones we wore.
Put on your dinkles, ladies. Ladies and gentlemen, put on your dinkles.
Yeah.
That's a funny name.
It is funny.
I didn't know. Well, for me, I was in choir, so I never got to have the cool Converse. That's why I was jealous. We had to wear those ugly dresses that in the choir universe we'd call them trash bags.
Oh, I mean, we wore those too for concert season.
Yeah, but they're just like ugly. They don't look good on anybody. Even if you're like the hottest girl in the world or the hottest person in the world, like that dress does not look good on anyone, no matter what. And
I think that's not the point. I think the point is for everyone to look uniform and to wear something that's like formal looking ish.
Totally true, and I totally get that. But other schools had nicer ones, had better ones that were like at least a little bit flattering. I don't think, obviously they're not meant for you to like, oh my gosh, she looks so good. Like obviously they're not meant for that.
Mm-hmm.
But other schools had much more flattering that were just as formal and nice. So I was like,
would be nice.
Also, like I said, we didn't have like a shoe standard. I think the guys did, but not us. So we had to wear like heels or like flats. You didn't have to wear heels, but the hem, because there were long dresses, so the hem was important. So if you wore like short shoes, and it might look a little bit too long, so you had to wear tall shoes. But if you wore tall shoes, sometimes it looks a little too short, so it was just annoying.
Yeah, also I think when you had the yearly fitting, they would ask you, at least in our case, they would ask us, are you going to be wearing heels, or are you going to be wearing flats? And then they would tailor or adjust the hem accordingly.
They would ask us that, but even then sometimes it's like, yeah, looks weird. So I wish I had Converse.
Yeah, they, like I said, they were I guess they looked cool with their uniform and all that. But
they're uncomfy for you.
But I didn't like them because of how flat they were. I like a shoe with support and some cushion, preferably.
Like, that makes sense. But for me, I'm just like, I don't care as long as it looks cool.
So earlier you had this like earworm.
Oh, yeah.
What they call earworm. It's like when you have a song stuck in your head.
I'm that kind of person that once something's stuck in my head, it just will not leave my head. Like, I know some people are like, oh, if a song's stuck in your head, listen to it and it'll get out. That doesn't work.
I don't know if that works. I don't think that's ever worked for me. I think the one thing that I can definitely say for sure has helped get a song stuck in my head, like get it out, is to get a different song stuck in my head.
Yeah, I always have to have something in my head. Like, I'm always singing a little tune or like doing that. But the one that was just stuck in my head was the Magic School Bus theme song, where it goes, cruising on down Main Street, you know?
Yeah, so you were here and you kept singing just randomly while we were both typing on our computers. You just kept randomly going, cruising down Main Street. What is it?
Cruising on down Main Street.
Cruising on down Main Street.
Yeah. And then, or like earlier also, literally today, before the cruising on down Main Street thing, I was singing Flower from the Tangled movie, where she goes, flower, gleam, and glow, you know? But I was just doing flower. So it's like
just the one word.
Just the word flower. So there's always something stuck in my head, and I don't know what to do to fix it, because it just, if something's stuck in my head, it will continue to be stuck in my head until something else is stuck in my head.
That's what I'm saying. That's the same thing that happens to me. That's the only way to get, well, I don't always have one, I don't think, but it seems often that happens.
For me, it's like every day. Every single day.
It's just your life.
It's just my life. Ask my boyfriend. He's literally like, why are you always singing something? Something's always stuck in your head. And I'm like, am I? He's like, yeah, literally.
You're not even aware of it.
I don't know. Oh, I'm not always aware until the only reason I noticed that I was doing it is the Magic School Bus one is because you started laughing. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize that I was continually singing this little tune, and it's so disruptive.
I know it depends on what it is. I can either get really annoyed by someone if they keep singing something, or I could start laughing. It just depends on what it is, I guess, and the context.
That's true. Like, I thought of whenever we were watching the Titanic a long time ago, or it was probably a couple months ago, and I made a song out of one of the lines, and you got so annoyed. You were like, can you stop singing that for real? I was like, I can't stop. I literally can't. I can't help myself. It's like a involuntary, like, it just comes out. Like, I don't even notice when I'm doing it. It just happens.
Yeah,
it's bad.
So the theme song that you had stuck in your head was the one for the Magic School Bus, right?
Cruising on down Main Street.
And That kind of reminds me of a different show that was on PBS around the same
Mm-hmm.
time, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Arthur, the one that has the meme with the fist.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I was just saying how, because we were talking about this earlier, I was saying how the sister, DW, she was such a little bitch. Like, I know she's meant to be like the bratty sister.
Uh-huh.
And she is. But it's funny. That show. I did watch it when I was younger, but I don't remember a lot of it.
Uh-huh.
So it was on and everything, and I did know it, and I did watch it sometimes, but it wasn't like my favorite, you know?
Yeah, I've heard some like discussion over what the main character, like, you know how they're all animals, like all the characters, like the friend, I forget his name, he was a rabbit.
Yeah,
a
he
white
was like
rabbit.
a white rabbit. Yeah,
And then the main character Arthur, I really thought he was
a bear because of the ears,
but apparently he's an aardvark.
Mm-hmm.
And then also he has a pet dog.
Yeah.
So okay, that actually makes me think of like another different cartoon.
Yeah.
So in the Disney universe, there's Mickey Mouse.
Yep.
There's Goofy.
Yeah, Goofy is a dog.
He's a dog. Okay, but Mickey Mouse
has a dog.
Has a pet dog.
So like in Arthur, they're all animals, but what makes the pet dog like just like
a different category of animal that doesn't speak?
Exactly. Because their dog is just like a regular like dog, like how humans have domesticated dogs.
Yeah.
It's just like that. And it's the same thing with Mickey Mouse, because he has Pluto, who's his literal dog, but his friend Goofy is also a dog. So.
Okay, but also in Arthur, isn't there a character that's like a cat?
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
How is what is the logic around this? It's like cartoons that have pets, and the cartoon itself is an animal.
I think whoever makes the show, I think they think kids are watching this and they're not going to read too much into this. Probably. Which is something that, I mean, I didn't notice the whole like Arthur's dog and Pluto thing until I was older.
Yeah, I mean, just now, because we were talking about Arthur, and then you said something about how someone had commented somewhere on social media or said someplace about Arthur being an aardvark with a pet dog, and then it made me think about Goofy, and we were talking about Goofy.
Well, there was a whole TikTok thread and like a bunch of TikToks made that everyone was saying that Goofy was actually a cow. And it was like this whole thing where
he doesn't look like a cow at all.
No, he doesn't. He's a dog. He's literally a dog. But then everyone was like, no, he's actually a cow. Did you know he's actually a cow? And then you look it up. No, he's a dog. He's still a dog.
It's just weird because there's two dogs in the situation. One is a pet and one is a peer.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know how they come up with these things.
Yeah.
But then again, the kids eat it up. Because guess what? I ate it up. You know,
I ate it up too.
I ate it up. So I don't know. Maybe they're just like, well, maybe they're just thinking, oh, every kid wants like a pet, a little a companion or whatever. So let's just give them what they see in regular life. But then shows like SpongeBob, there's Gary.
Right, the snail.
His snail.
Pet, SpongeBob's pet snail.
Yeah, so I'm like, you can have a companion that's not literally the same thing,
the same species or
as your friend. So maybe they just need I don't know their reasoning. I'm sure there's a reason why, because there's always like little hidden gems and messages.
Yeah. Hey, it's Ellie. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. Feel free to comment down below to let us know what you think of this episode. We also have an Instagram, so if you'd like to follow us there, or if you have ideas for future topics, please DM us at YouHaveMyAttention pod. That's YouHaveMyAttentionPod on Instagram. Thanks for chilling with us, and now let's get back to the show. So, you wanted to talk about kids, correct?
Yes, I did want to talk about having children. I feel like a lot of the times when the topic of having kids comes up, I feel like the black sheep, because I do not, absolutely do not want children. And every time I say that to people, everyone's like, oh, you're so young, you're going to change your mind. And that might be true.
Yeah, it's possible.
But I just feel like, I don't know what you think, but I just feel like it's a little bit condescending to be like, yeah, you're going to have kids, because that's what you should want, which is, it's not something that I want.
Yeah, I do think, like, I do take issue with people having such, I mean, it's fine if you have an opinion about that, but I don't think it's, I think it's rude
Yeah.
to just kind of like assume things about people.
Yeah,
and also just kind of always have an expectation that everyone's life has to be the same or what you think a life should be.
Exactly.
As long as you're not hurting yourself or anyone else.
People think like, oh, if you don't start dating your partner, get married, have kids, have a family, then you're
doing it wrong.
Yeah, you're wrong. And I hate that because I'm like the opposite of a traditional kind of person when it comes to what I want for my life.
And you're young too, so
yeah,
like,
of course, like that's true. I am young. I may change my mind, but I don't like when people say like, oh, but you will have them. You're going to have them, or you will change your mind, because you're not me.
It's usually, I mean, in my experience, it's older women that say that to younger women. That's what I've seen. I don't really see.
I've seen men say that to me too.
Really? Do you think it happens more often with women though?
It is more often with women. I think it's because there's this whole expectation for women to have this kind of need to nurture a child.
And I mean, honestly, it's not just women. A man can be nurturing.
But everyone's like, oh, you will have this maternal instinct. I don't. Like I'm saying, maybe I'll feel different in 10 years, but I'm nowhere near ready to have children. And I feel the pressure when I'm so young. And I know, like I said earlier, we are 6 years apart. So
right.
Do you feel like you're ready?
No, but I've heard from many people that you're never truly ready, and you may not ever truly feel ready.
But do you want them?
I'm not sure. I don't know what my life has in store for me.
Like if you were to get pregnant tomorrow, you'd be like...
No, if I were to get pregnant tomorrow, I would,
be like, I'm happy with this.
I would accept it. That's me personally. Obviously, there are circumstances such as health when there's like risk to your own life. But I do, in my situation, for me, myself, as long as it doesn't mean
you'll be in harm's way.
Yeah, an extreme harm situation, I would embrace it and I would just accept it. Like I would embrace it as my next step in my life.
But
at this point in my life, yes.
But something I want to ask you is, do you feel the pressure to have them?
I think as a woman in the society that we live in, I do kind of, but I've noticed a change even within my own lifetime compared to when I was younger to how I am like now that I'm older. It has shifted. I have seen more evidence, or like more people, women, families that choose not to have children, delay it, or choose to instead foster, adopt, whether it be humans or pets, as they say. So I just
I think the thing that I have such a problem with is the fact that I feel so much pressure.
And that's uncomfortable. And some people don't want to accept how you feel about it, and they want to tell you how you're supposed to live your life, and that's not right. Do you think
maybe that people get uncomfortable with the way that I look at how I want my life to go? You think they get uncomfortable because they regret their own decisions?
I wonder that sometimes, honestly.
I don't think it's always the case.
No, not always, but yeah.
I don't know. I have, like I said, I'm not a very traditional kind of person. I don't have, when, you know how everybody says like, oh, I dreamed of my wedding.
Yeah.
I wanted to plan, I want this to be my dress, or this to be my venue, this to be my cake. I never thought, not once, about getting married, having a wedding. I never thought about having children. I never thought about, raising a family. And I don't know if that's trauma. I mean, probably it's closely related to it, but it's just...
It could be, but at the same time, it's not, it could just not be your path. Mm-hmm. And that's up to you, and sometimes not up to you, but if you're kind of thinking about it ahead, and that's how you feel, and you've evaluated yourself and how you are, like, if it's just from trauma, or if it's just how you feel, like what you want in life, then it's just how you are. I don't know.
Whatever the reason, it's just the way that I am. As of right now, like, people change.
Right. People can change their mind. But kind of assuming and giving a condescending response to that is kind of, it's rude.
Yeah, it's rude. Like, I would never say that to somebody if they were like, if the topic of kids comes up and I was like, oh, do you have kids? And they're like, no, I don't want kids. I'd be like, okay.
That's okay.
I would not say anything past. That's fine.
Like, oh, why?
Yeah.
Everybody has their reason. Everybody, if they want to share, I mean, it's not bad to ask, but
no,
as long as you're polite about it,
I think a lot of people don't realize that when they say things like that they're being disrespectful, because they just assume like everybody should want kids. Everybody should want this. Why don't you want it? You're weird. You're the
strange one.
You're the strange one for not wanting what everybody else seems to want, or what everybody else is pressured to have.
Right. It's societal pressure. It's cultural.
Definitely cultural. So it's cultural for sure, because in the Hispanic culture, it's very much like have a lot of kids. It's like,
well, I think some of it is tied to religion.
Yeah.
Religion true. Influences that like opinion or mindset, thought, thinking.
But it is like in the Hispanic culture, it's most of the time it's very traditional. It's like, oh, you're the woman and you need to raise your family and you need to do it in this way and whatever. So I just feel like whenever the topic should come up about children, or how you want to live your life, or however you decide, I think people forget that you just need to have a little grace.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, in the United States, there has been a shift towards people having less children. I think waiting. Yeah, but I think it's partially because it's people's choice, but we have to be aware that there are economic factors to this. There certainly are likely people out there that would like to have a larger family but find it difficult to, due to financial reasons,
fertility reasons.
Right.
Also, I think people forget that there's also the factor that to think about, that the way the world is going right now, like the next generation is gonna have some issues. I mean,
I think that's always been the case. I kind of have thought about this lately. Like, we always kind of tend to compare previous points in time, previous generations. We can kind of do that more accurately, I guess, more reasonably with more recent generations. But some people have a nostalgia to time periods that they never even lived in. Like, people from our generation, or even some talking about like, wow, like
the 70s,
the 50s, the 60s. And it's like, you didn't live in that time. And even if you did, there's something about nostalgia that kind of makes us think, like, in a positive sense, a lot of times, not always, of a different period of time. And
like, you kind of romanticize it.
Yeah, we can kind of like boil things down too much and simplify in our head, and like think of it in a certain way that is just not realistic, and it's not an accurate depiction of how things were at that time, especially for everyone, especially when you consider that everyone has a different circumstance. People of certain groups may have had it worse in other periods of time than like, others.
Oh, the 60s, like it's so
the style.
hip.
I think people just like the fashions, really.
I mean, relatable, but
yeah.
I mean, I love the fashion, but people, like I said, they look at it with rose-colored glasses. They're like, oh, it was all a piece and the hippie vibe, and yeah, I think sometimes they forget about civil rights and like the Vietnam War and things like that.
Yeah, or they do, or if they do, they kind of will gloss over it.
Yeah, they're just like, oh yeah, but it's like, you know, a lot of people didn't have it
that great.
like,
They struggled, they fought, they may have suffered and seen terrible things.
But yeah, you're right. People do romanticize different.
It's not all good and it's not all bad.
Yeah,
different time periods. And
so are you saying that in the future it's not going to be all good?
I don't know. I have no way of knowing. I mean, it is a crazy time to live in, but I kind of wonder, has there ever been a time that's not crazy or difficult?
That's a good question.
For all people? No, I don't think so. Yeah,
you're right. I didn't think about it that way.
It's hard to say.
Somebody in the future is going to be like, oh, to live in the 2020s, like how amazing. Oh my gosh, COVID, whatever. But like, you know, like that makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, we can't really compare unless you've lived in that time, and it's only going to be relevant to you individually. Your experience is only relevant to, like, comparison's sake, only to you.
Yeah, makes sense. I don't know. I think, well, with the whole kids thing, I don't see myself changing my mind anytime soon. But like I said, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. People change and people have experiences that make them see things differently. So who knows? And it's not just all about me, right?
Yeah, of course.
So like it's not all about what I want, in the sense of like when you decide to start a life with a person, start a life with somebody else, like your partner, you know, it really, you have to think about what do they want for their life too.
Right. But also at the same time, there are some things that are just harder to compromise than others.
I think I have such a problem with that. Like, I'm so stubborn, actually. Like, with the things that I believe in, I'm so, like, I will not waver, which is kind of bad, but in some sense.
I mean, I've convinced you of some stuff before. I've changed your mind. You've changed
Carrie.
my mind for sure.
About what?
Just stuff that you've told me and I've thought about, and I'm like, you know what? She's right.
I mean, yeah, but I think I'm not saying I don't have the ability to change my mind. I just think one of my faults is that I'm stubborn. So, and I'm like a defiant person. I'm like, oh, everyone wants me to be this way, so I'm going to be the opposite way, you know? Like, maybe that's kind of like a little immature kind of mindset.
It
like,
could be.
Do things out of spite. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm like,
that sounds immature.
Be like, oh, everybody wants me to go to college. I don't want to go to college. I'm not going to go to college, you know?
Still went to college.
I still went to college.
But it's because you don't want to be told. You want it to be your own decision. And I think with college, it should be that way. With
because I felt it's
career, it should be that way.
It's the same thing. I felt this pressure to be a certain way.
Right.
So I was
society.
like, I don't want to be that. I want to be whatever I want to be. So I'm just going to choose a different path than everyone. And I'm going to be different because everyone's telling me to do this and I don't want to do that.
It's because you want to prove people wrong.
Yeah, I am kind of that.
Something, for some reason, you have that feeling.
I don't know what it is.
That
Maybe
drives to do that.
I'm the youngest child.
Could be. That's topic of discussion. Younger children versus older. So I'm the oldest. You're the youngest.
I am the youngest. I feel like we're so different.
We are. And I recently saw a video somewhere about, I believe it was a psychologist saying something along the lines of how children, comparing children like siblings and how they were raised even when they're raised by the same parent, they come out so different. Obviously, everyone's is different. Everyone's an individual, even twins, you know.
But no, it's interesting to think about how, like, your parents see you when you're growing up. Like, the firstborn always is put on this kind of, they have super high expectations for that kid.
Right. Okay. So what this psychologist was saying was how even if it's the same parents for each sibling, they're not the same parents, because when they were born, the parents were different ages. Like, the age that they were at when they had the first child is different from the age they had with the next child and each subsequent child. They were likely at could be in different financial situations, different places in their career. Relationship wise, their relationship may have changed from the first child to the next subsequent child, also, and that affects each child, each sibling.
Yeah. And whenever whenever parents have their first child, they're like very strict on how they want them to be raised, and they're first time parents, so they're like, I don't know what to expect, I don't know what to really do, so they kind of like just want everything to be a certain way. But then when you have your second, you're kind of a little more relaxed, like, okay, I kind of know what to do.
You have more experience,
so you change, your parenting changes, you yourself change, your relationship with the other parent changes too. So
right,
that's interesting to think
and
about.
This is all us speaking without any parental experience ourselves.
No, yeah, I'm like,
this is just from the perspective of the child and our, which is our perspective.
I'm so grateful that I was not born first.
Why?
Because I'm just so like,
you would be a completely different person. Probably
I would be different if I was born first, but since I'm the youngest, I got all the benefits, right? I got like not that our mom wasn't strict, because she was definitely strict with everyone, but I wasn't put on this like pedestal of like, you have to do this, you have to achieve this, blah blah. I was just kind of like, do your thing, be who you want to be, kind of, to some extent. I still felt like the pressures to be a certain kind of way, obviously, but it was just so different. Sometimes I'm like, I wonder what it would be like to like go back in time and like Freaky Friday, see how you were raised. Like,
me as the oldest,
or like you be the youngest and then me be the oldest.
Oh, we switch. Freaky Friday sibling style.
Yeah. That would be so weird to think about, because when I was born, you were already 6 years old. So I never even knew you as like a little kid.
I was a kid still, obviously.
No, yeah, but like for me, whenever I looked and thought of you when we were growing up, you always seemed so much older, like so much more mature, so much smarter. Like you were always this, when I looked up to you,
6 years helps
6 years
maturity wise when you're a child.
But I always thought of you as like such an adult, even when you were like in middle school and I was in elementary school. It's like, oh my gosh, she's just so much smarter, she's so much older, so much wiser. Like, I saw you a certain way. I'm sure you were like, little snot rag or whatever to me.
No, I did not think that. I just remember one time that you missed the bus.
Oh, I'm scared.
And no, it wasn't that bad. And so because we were 6 years apart, at that point I was already in high school, and I think you were in elementary school, like mid to late elementary school. Probably, right?
I don't know.
And I remember that you had missed the bus, and I was walking to my bus stop and realizing that you had missed your bus.
Yeah.
And I kind of got after you.
Oh, you were definitely...
Yeah.
And definitely like another parental figure, or like authority figure for me.
I don't know if that's something that happens with all older children. Like the oldest child probably is to a degree.
I saw you as somebody that was like, if I do something wrong, she's gonna get mad at me. Like, I'm gonna be in trouble from my sister, not from my mom. It's kind of...
I mean, you'd get in trouble from both.
Yeah, from both, but
our parents.
You were just another authority figure that was like, oh no, Ellie better not find out, because she's gonna get mad at me or whatever. Yeah,
so you had missed the bus, and I think I said like, you can't be missing the bus, and like, you're gonna miss school.
Irresponsible.
You're gonna miss school. And then you had said, oh, okay, I guess I'll walk. And I saw you turn around and start walking. And then I was like, what am I doing? She is so small. She cannot walk to school. And I immediately was like, Ale, just go home.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, you were in I can't remember what grade you were in, but I said that to you and then immediately was like, what am I saying? You were way too young to walk to school.
I don't remember this.
And we didn't go to obviously we didn't go to the same school because I was older.
But still,
so
I could have gotten stolen. I was
I know, I was like immediately like, wait, no, you can't. No, go, just turn around. And it was like near our house. So I watched you walk towards the house and saw you go in.
Oh my gosh, I was such a little shit too. Like when
You mean a little brat?
Oh my gosh, I was such a little brat, but I hate that insult so much. It's probably like
the other word is even meaner.
No. Well,
okay, we disagree.
We disagree, but I think the reason I hate the term brat so much is because you would say it to me.
Oh, when I was that's so mean. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. Come on, we're siblings. We fight. Of course, like I've said things to you that I regret. But like when we were growing up, you're like, don't be such a little brat. And I was like, don't call me.
I was so mean. I'm so sorry.
No, you weren't that bad, honestly. Well, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so what was I talking about?
I don't remember.
Something brat. Oh yeah, I said I was such a little brat though, because like I said, I was like this little defiant. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this. I wasn't like the most rebellious person. Like I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna do whatever I want. I don't care what people say. But I was just like probably a little bit like that.
Yeah.
So another bus story was this one time. I was in high school by this time and I had already learned how to drive. I think I was 15 or 16, but I didn't have my license yet. But I learned how to drive already. And we had like this family van, this old family car or whatever, that I would practice driving with. And my bus stop to get to school was so far down this like hill. It was treacherous. It was a treacherous path to get to my bus stop. And I was like, I will not make it if I walk because it's so far away. Like, let me just drive to my bus stop. Let me take the car that I've been practicing with and drive to my bus stop.
Wait. Park down. So you'd go all the way down the street, park, and leave your car at the corner?
Yeah.
Just to get to the bus stop?
Yep.
Why not just at that point just drive to school?
No, that's funny that you said that because
because you didn't have your license.
No, I didn't have my license. And you got mad at me.
Then you shouldn't be driving at all.
Exactly. So, but because I was just like, oh, I don't care, like it'll be fine, whatever. I remember I was so close to missing the bus and I was like, Ellie, I'm gonna get the keys and I'm just gonna drive it down to the bus stop and it's literally down the street, like don't worry, I'm just gonna park it there and then drive it back, it's fine. And you got so mad at me. You're like, you're such an idiot. Like, you're like, first of all, you don't have your license. Second of all, you could crash the car. I was like, it's down the street. And then you're like, I don't care. You're so dumb for that. You cannot take that car. You were like
grilling you.
Yeah, you're getting mad at me because you're like, you're so dumb. You can't just do that. You don't have your license. And I was like, I don't care. Like, I know how to drive. I'm not going to crash it, whatever. Like being a like little brat. Pretty much. And then I remember I was like, I don't care what she says. So I took the keys and I was like, I'm just gonna do it, I don't care. I took the keys and I drove down to the bus stop and then your voice was literally playing in my head. You're like, don't do it, you don't have your license, you're gonna crash, you're gonna get in trouble. And so I was like, ugh. So I drove it down the street to the bus stop and I was like, God, and I drove it back. It's like I can't disobey her. Like it's just gonna bother me because you were right. I knew you were right, but I was just like, I just want to get to the bus and it's so far away. But I ended up missing the bus anyways because I had to drive the car back. But I was like, I can't disobey what Ellie says because she's right.
I know I'm right. I guess. Yeah. I don't know.
I know. Obviously, I wasn't going to crash going down the street, but I was like,
right. But it's just the logic of like, I'm going to drive my car to my bus stop, leave my car, take the bus. It's like,
it wasn't the
just
logic.
Just walk at that point.
It was not the logic. It was your little voice. It was your little voice being like, I can't believe you would do that. You're so irresponsible, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, she's right. And so I just missed the bus anyways. I don't remember how I got to school that day. Don't have a clue.
You might have missed school or you don't know.
I don't think so.
Maybe got a ride or something.
I think I got a ride or something. I don't know. But I didn't miss school.
I must have been in college. I don't know if I dropped you off.
You didn't. There's no way.
I mean, I did drop you off and pick you up at some point. And
Really?
when you were in high school. Yeah, there was a period of time when I was... Well, it was schedule permitting, right? Depending on my college schedule at one point. I think I did pick you up and drop you off. But I don't think at that point I
think... No. I think that day where I was supposed to... Or where I was like trying to drive it to my bus stop, I think you had class like later. So you had to drive to school like a little bit after that. So you're like, I don't have time to take you to school. You're like, figure it out. And I was like, okay.
I see.
Mm-hmm. But see, that's
I guess I was trying to teach you a lesson.
You see, that's why you're like, that's what I'm saying. You're a little authority figure because your voice in my head. I wasn't even worried. I wasn't even worried about her mom getting mad at me. I was like, she's not gonna find out. But you, I was like, oh God, like I can't. So I just drove back.
Well,
again, me being a little rebellious.
And you know what? As you were talking about that, I kind of started to think it could have to do with you being the youngest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously it does because you have all your siblings that are older than you watching you, obviously because we care about you and care about your safety and all that, but also your parents telling you what to do, everyone at school, like your teachers and all that. Yeah. It's just you have more people and you're more of your family influencing you in your life that is older than you and like guiding you and telling you what to do or what you should or should not do. And so maybe that's why some of that rebellion comes out because you feel like you have less I don't know if autonomy is the right word, but you have less of that like feeling of you it being your choice. You have more people, even more people in your inner circle of like family and friends that are like telling you
the way that I should be.
Right, especially with the sibling thing, because then parents will compare you to your sibling, unfortunately, and will say,
oh, all the time.
Yeah, not all parents do this, but or they try. I assume parents sometimes try not to compare do that.
Your kids, but they
do compare, and they'll say your sister didn't.
But I think maybe you're right. Maybe that's why I was like, I want to be different, and I want to do this, and I want to. Maybe that's why I was so adamant about being different from you guys when I was growing up. I was like, I don't want to go to college and I'm going to get my license super early because I want to be independent. I was like so focused on being independent. I was like, I want to be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
I want to be self-sufficient. I want to be independent. I want to do what I want to do. So like hearing me say that, I'm like, oh, you're so annoying. But like, that's how I was for real.
I mean, at some point I was kind of like that, but in a different way. The older child version of that, which is, one day I'm going to take off.
One day I'm going to move out.
And I'm going to move out. Yeah. And I won't be told what to do in the same way, but it was different because for you, it's like I'm the youngest one and people see me as the baby. And in me, it was like, I'm the oldest one. People see me as a responsible one. And I just want to be responsible for myself for once.
Oh my gosh, so true.
So it's like actually pretty similar if you think about it, but it's just in a different context.
When we were growing up, I used to think that we were so different. I was like, Ellie is this way. She is the star. We used to call you the star child. Because
no, that's not the phrase y'all would use.
What would we say? The favorite?
No, y'all would say, and I'm not the favorite. Not that it matters, but I'm not.
You are.
No, okay. This is another like sibling argument. Who's the favorite? Yeah.
Okay, but what would we call you?
I think y'all would call me the golden child.
Okay, we're like, Ellie's the golden child. She's the smart one. You were like the smart one. She's the studious one. She's the clean one. Like she has her life together or whatever. And I was like, I'm presumably to me, like from your perspective. From my perspective, I was like, this is how I saw you. And how I saw myself was, oh, I'm the youngest one. I'm the little rebellious one. I'm just gonna skip class and I'm gonna not go to college. I'm gonna move out at 18 and I'm gonna get tattoos and I'm gonna get piercings and this and this and this. So like it's so funny to think about how I thought. I was like, oh yeah, I'm so different from her. But then now that I'm a little bit older, I'm like, we're not that different. We're not that different. I mean, we are, but like we have more similarities than I previously knew.
Yeah, more than we
more
both
than I
realized.
thought. I was like, oh, we actually are kind of similar.
Yeah, we have things in common. I mean, that's also to be expected since we're siblings, but even personality traits that we have in common. What's something you think we have in common?
Like I was saying earlier, the whole like clutter thing, I didn't think that it bothered me, but then I'm like, I'm more like Ellie than I thought.
That you like to be organized?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of it for me, it has to do with just when you put in that effort, it kind of pays off a lot later on. So knowing where your important documents are, having a home for each item, it kind of frees you a bit about in terms of like, I know where everything is.
I think part of it has to do with like, if you know where everything is and you're tidy, you feel like you're in control.
Yeah. And it also feels, well, to me, I feel more at peace. Like I feel more calm knowing that I know where my scissors are and my pencils. I know it sounds silly.
No,
but
it makes sense.
I don't have to, when I'm in a rush or, something, I know where it is. I go and get it. If I need someone to go fetch it for me, I can give them the proper extension, give them the proper, like, can you get this for me? Yeah. Instructions.
In this drawer on the left side, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
No,
yes.
I think another thing that we have in common is we don't like to be out of control.
Yeah.
Like,
and
we like to be like,
I'm sure some of that is just human though, right?
Maybe.
I mean, there's obviously levels
some people
to it.
There's some people that are just like free spirited. They don't care, like, but not me. Well, I guess I'm
you're more free spirited than I am.
Yeah, that's true. But also, I've said this before, I don't think I'm a very spontaneous person. I guess a little bit. I'm not spontaneous, but I'm impulsive, if that makes sense. So like, I won't just be like, I'm gonna go pack up and drive 3 hours to the beach just because it's like fun. But I'm also the kind of person that's like, I think I want bangs, and the next day I'll go freaking cut my hair all off. So like, I'm not spontaneous, but I'm impulsive.
At least you're not to the point where you just grab the front section of hair and just start cutting it.
I've done that.
Okay. I mean, I have too.
I've learned from that.
But I try to be careful. I don't cut my hair myself anymore. I used to do it more when I was younger, like high school. I would cut my own like fringe.
Me too.
Like the front, like the bangs or whatever you call them.
Yeah.
I would do that. But I wouldn't cut like the length of my hair. I would maybe just trim like the little split ends that I'd find and stuff like that. But now these days I'm like, no, I'll just let it grow and I'll wait till my haircut, and I'll have someone else do it.
Yeah. But I think now that I'm reaching more of like adulthood, I like to have more of a structure like you.
It's good to have some because it helps you feel more I mean, like I said, it just makes me feel more at peace, more at ease.
I feel like now that I'm older, I can't just like, just do whatever I want anymore. I can't just like skip class and like,
yeah, like go to some restaurant or what do they call diners?
Yeah, I can't just skip class and like go to a diner. I have to be responsible human, and not just because I have to be. It makes me feel better when I have a little bit of structure in my life.
I know for me, some of the stuff like how people would skip class in high school, I don't think I ever did that once.
Are you serious? I really don't
think I did.
I think it's just
if I did, it was maybe 1 or 2 times, but I cannot off the top of my head mention a time when I just straight up skipped class. No, that's not so in my brain.
It's so bad, but I literally skip class every single day. Like my senior year, every single day.
You had chronic senioritis.
Yeah. Also, I did it in junior year and freshman year and sophomore year.
I never wanted to skip class because I didn't like missing class, because I didn't like to fall behind on things, because I felt like it was already not a big struggle, but like it seemed like it could be easy for it to happen. It felt like a slippery slope for me.
To be fair, we did have different high school experiences because
very different.
You took like the more difficult pre-AP kind of college credit
not for
classes.
Each course, not for each subject, but for some I did.
For some, and for me, I took all regulars classes. So to fall behind in a regulars, it's kind of like, if you miss a day, you're fine.
Right. I think that's part of it, but even just for me in general, I didn't like to do makeup work. I didn't want to put myself in a situation where I had to go in for tutoring after school. I would try to avoid that. If you need tutoring, go get tutoring, you know. I did go if I had to, but if it was a situation like, oh, I missed a quiz and I have to go and make it up, I did not want to do that. I just wanted to go home, you know.
Yeah.
So I would avoid it at all costs.
I think the reason that I skipped so many times was because I didn't care. I didn't put so much importance on my time in high school, and I'm not trying to say like, oh yeah, I'm so cool for skipping class, blah blah. Don't do that. Don't do what I did. Like, that's stupid. But I feel like I just didn't care really.
You were going through stuff mentally.
Absolutely. Also, school is just like not a good place for me. So I was just like,
high school. Do you think it's high school? It's just the environment, all the stuff like that that people deal with. I could talk about my whole high school experience. That could be a different episode. But we'll have to wait for another time. No. We could talk for hours about that.
I know, but yeah, it is that environment that's just like, I want to get away from here. I can't be myself here, so I just have to go.
That's relatable. There were periods of my time in high school when I felt that way, but I wouldn't say it was that the whole time. I was one of those people that didn't go to graduation.
Oh yeah, that was like the rebellious thing that you did.
That was the one rebellious thing I did, was not go to graduation, not go to prom. What else? Oh, I did not take my senior photo. Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
actually,
you little rebel, you little criminal.
I actually realized, I believe sophomore year, that so at our school, the way they did photos, it wasn't like just some day. It was something they did before school even started. It was like a week or two before school. You had to go to school and do this like orientation stuff every year,
where you had to get your picture, you had to get
your locker, your schedule, all that your stuff.
Books.
Yeah, it wasn't done on the first day of school. It was done beforehand, and if you weren't able to do it, then you would just do it on the first week or whatever. But I realized I could just skip. There was like a route. You had to go from like one part of the school, and they had you in a line, and you had to do all the steps. There was a spot, or the part where it had to do with taking your picture. You could just like, I realized, hey, it's this. You go, the line takes you to this room. I can just skip that room and go to the next one.
You want to know
something? Do the next thing on the list.
You want to know something?
Yeah.
I am not in any of the yearbooks because I did that every single year.
Even freshman year?
Every single year.
Is it because I told you about it? And
no, you didn't tell me this, but I was just like, I look ugly. Or okay.
You didn't want to be.
I was like, I am not my cutest self right now. I just didn't want to be in the yearbook. Like I said, I was just like, oh, I'm so different, so defiant, whatever. So I skipped it every single year, and I'm not in any of the yearbooks. The only place that you can find me in the yearbook is in the back of the choir pictures. So good luck finding me, because it's as if I didn't exist. I am a ghost in that school.
Like I said, my photo was only taken freshman year and sophomore year. I don't think it was taken junior year. Another thing too was I was in band. So in the summer I was in band camp. And band camp coincided, like it still was taking place in that week when we had the orientation stuff. So it would be like, usually your turn to take, they would have you go by like grade level and then by 8. I don't know if like
grade level and by last name.
Yeah, so they would split up, like say people A through, I don't know, J or A through something.
You go last on names. Monday at 8 to 3 or something.
Yeah, there was like a time range or whatever. So it was always like after or during
and you were all
band
sweaty.
Practice. Yeah, so that was actually a big part of it too. I didn't want to be like photographed in that state. It was like hard to show up all like ready for that photo. So that's also partially why. Now the senior photos, it was a different situation. You did not take those during the regular orientation. You had to go somewhere
to get your pictures taken.
Like an actual studio, and they would like have you wear a certain like
they made
clothes.
You wear, it's so funny, they made you wear like a fake dress.
Yeah, like only the top part, right? Or something,
because the pictures only show from like the top of your chest up. So they were like, we're not going to make you change into a whole dress. So they literally just had the top of the dress that you wore, and then I think the guys just had to wear like a jacket.
Yeah.
Something, I don't know.
Something that kind of looked like a black tie situation or something.
That's so funny that they faked that.
Yeah, so I didn't go to that appointment. There was a date range or something where you're supposed to make an appointment, and I didn't do it. Yeah. So the one rebellious thing was me that I did in high school was me like not participating in all the senior stuff, including senior skip day. I did not participate in senior skip day.
You want to know something? This just tells you who I was in high school. I did seniors. Oh, okay. So we have
senior skip day is not official, by the way.
No, it's not.
Students. It's a thing students do.
So we have other siblings, of course. So one of my other sisters was a senior when I was a sophomore. So I did senior skip day with all her friends when she was a senior and I was a sophomore. That tells you what I was like in high school. I literally skipped with the seniors with my sister and her friends because I was like, I don't want to be at school, so whatever.
I mean, I'm assuming that happened. Some people would have siblings that were seniors and they would skip with them on the same day.
It was so fun that day. I don't think we did anything crazy. We didn't I know people would plan, oh, we're all gonna go here, blah blah. We didn't do that. We were just like, we're just not gonna go and do something else fun.
Do you remember what y'all did?
I think we just went home.
You just went home and just hung out?
No, I think we just went home, and that's not true. I'm sure we did something fun. I just got an amusement park, and I was like, I don't care to do that. And also my sister and her friends were like, oh, let's just do something else. I don't remember what we did, but I just remember skipping on senior skip day.
You guys probably just chilled or something at home then.
Yeah, I think we went to get something to eat and then went
Maybe
home.
the movies.
Did we go to the movies? I have a feeling it was something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think you guys talked about it, but I remember it being something like that. Maybe y'all went shopping or something.
I don't remember, but it's funny because I did senior skip day as a sophomore, so
I think
who does that? No one. An idiot does that.
Like I said, I'm certain there's people that have done that.
Probably. So for all the kids in high school, or if you felt like you felt pressure from other people and you didn't want to be what everyone was expecting you to be, just live your life.
Be yourself.
Be yourself. Don't skip school because you're not cool.
And don't skip school because you think it's going to make you cool. It's not. It's just going to put you behind.
FYI, I'm not cool. So
you are cool. I disagree.
I think you're cool.
I think you're cooler.
I disagree.
Is this going to be?
Yeah, it's going to be like, no, you hang up. No,
yeah.
you hang up. But we
both think the other one is cool.
Yeah, so just be yourself, because even if you don't think that you're the coolest crayon in the box, somebody else thinks you're cool. And
they just might not tell you that.
Just don't put so much pressure on yourself to be a certain way. Just
be yourself.
Do whatever.
As long as you're not hurting yourself or others.
Do whatever makes you happy.
It's okay.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's my advice and my little story time.
I agree with you, and thank you for sharing.
Thanks for having me. I love having little combos on here. It's fun.
I do too. So, are you ready for Thanksgiving?
I am so unbelievably ready for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. Yeah, but I am ready for Thanksgiving. I love the togetherness. I love the food. And yeah, everyone just be with the people that you love and have a blast. So tune in next week for our Thanksgiving episode. Looking forward to that. Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, stay safe. Be safe and be yourself. Sing the Magic School Bus. And be yourself. Okay. Well, we'll talk to y'all later. Bye. Bye.